The full moon hung low in the night sky, casting eerie shadows across the quiet suburban neighborhood. The air was still, save for the faint rustling of leaves and the distant hum of a passing car. Inside a quaint house on Elm Street, Sarah, a young woman with an affinity for the supernatural, was reading a book about local legends. Her fascination with the macabre had led her down a rabbit hole of ghost stories and urban myths, but tonight's tale would be unlike any other. As Sarah read about the mysterious disappearance of a family decades ago, she couldn't help but feel a shiver run down her spine. The legend spoke of a cursed dog, a grotesque creature with gnarled teeth and glowing red eyes, said to roam the very neighborhood she now called home. Its eerie howls could be heard on nights like this, the ones when the moon was full and the world seemed to hold its breath. Sarah's curiosity got the better of her. She closed the book and decided to investigate further. She slipped into a heavy coat, pulled on her boots, and stepped outside into the chilly night. The moon's cold light bathed the streets in an ethereal glow as she followed the winding path through the dense woods behind her house. As she ventured deeper into the woods, Sarah's heart began to race. The silence was oppressive, and the woods seemed to close in around her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She thought it might be her imagination, but she couldn't ignore the sensation that something sinister lurked in the shadows. Suddenly, a distant sound shattered the silence, a low, mournful howl that made her blood run cold. She froze in her tracks, her breath catching in her throat. The howl grew louder, closer, and more otherworldly with each passing moment. Panic surged through her veins as she realized that the legend might be real. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone, desperate for a source of light and reassurance. As the screen illuminated the woods around her, her heart sank. Glowing red eyes stared back at her from the underbrush, their malevolence piercing through the darkness. She could make out the grotesque shape of the cursed dog, its matted fur and twisted limbs giving it a nightmarish appearance. Sarah's legs carried her backward, away from the creature, but it was relentless in its pursuit. The howls grew louder, an unholy chorus that seemed to echo in her very soul. She stumbled and fell, terror gripping her like a vice. Just when it seemed like the cursed dog would close the distance between them, a sudden burst of headlights pierced the night. Car approached, its engine roaring to life. The driver, a neighbor who had heard Sarah's cries, had come to her rescue. The cursed dog let out a final, mournful howl before disappearing into the woods, leaving Sarah trembling in its wake. As the neighbor helped her to her feet, she realized that she had narrowly escaped a fate worse than any horror story. The legend of the cursed dog was real, and it had come dangerously close to claiming her as its next victim. The encounter left Sarah forever changed, her fascination with the supernatural tempered by the chilling reality she had witnessed. The cursed dog still haunted her nightmares, a reminder that sometimes, the things that go bump in the night are far more terrifying than anything she had ever imagined.